Today I'm going to show you what I would consider is the easiest way to get the Triumph One Punch card needed for the Shadowshaper title in Destiny Rising. This Triumph needs you to deal over 40 damage to a unit in a single attack. The only way I have been able to find so far to do this much damage is using the card Think Tank, which will deal damage to a unit equal to the highest bonus on my field. So if I can get a unit with a really high bonus, I can then deal that much damage to my opponent. This card, Think Tank, is one you just need to buy from the vendor shop at Wu Ming. So if you don't have it, you'll just need to wait until he is selling it. But even then, with this card, 40 damage is a lot. So if you combine Think Tank with Jolder, the next instance of damage is doubled. That instantly halves how high you need to get your bonus in order to do enough damage. Jolder is a card you can buy from the Shifting Gates exchange. One game of Shifting Gates should give you enough to be able to buy it. So those are probably the two most important cards, but to be honest, the entire deck is very finely built to give me just enough damage. There is very little room for anything else. Now, I'm sure there are other ways you could do this, but with the cards I had available, I'm currently at level 14. This was the deck I could come up with. So you'll notice in my deck I have a lot of duplicates of various cards, and that's just to give me the best possible chance of pulling the card I need. And even then, I still spent a lot of time just at Wu Ming resetting until I got a good starting hand and then got lucky from there on. Every card in here has a purpose, with the exception of the Exploding Shank. That is only there because I needed to put 15 cards in. So that was just to show me it's a useless card. I've, on the left-hand side of my screen here, got 3 different strategies, all using this same deck, which will get you to a total damage over 40. And I will explain all of them because, to be honest, they are very similar and use a lot of the same components. Your starting card on all of them needs to be the Hex Guard. Because when played, he grants himself the Inspired effect, and that will gain 1 power at the end of your turn. So by the time you get to round 6, which is when you're going to use Think Tank to do your damage, he will have gained 5 bonus power. He won't have gained 6 because he only gets it at the end of the turn, and obviously once you end the turn, you've already done the damage at that point. So he'll have been inspired 5 times by then. Just a note as well to confirm, the Think Tank, it's triggered based on the highest bonus damage, not the highest number. So you don't need to. There's no point in playing a card that has, for example, 7 starting energy. That's not going to give you 7 damage. It's how much bonus damage has been added to that card. So even though Hexguard is only a level 1, the 1 itself doesn't count for anything. It's the fact that by round 6 he will be up to 5 bonus. So starting with the Hex Guard, that gets you 5 bonus straight away. My second play on all strategies is then to play Hyssop, which will grant +3 power to a unit with a bonus. Obviously the Hex Guard will have a bonus because he will have been +1 from being inspired, and then a +3 on top of that as well. So again, by the end of the turn, the 5 plus the 3, that is an 8 bonus just with those 2 cards. Now there is actually a world where you don't necessarily play Hyssop on round 2. You can play him on round 5, and you can play a Servitor instead. So it just depends on whether you get lucky. But you will need to play a Hyssop somewhere in the deck. Depending on which strategy you go for. On round 3, you want to play one of the cards with 3 energy, which is either Finala or Yolda. Now, if you get Finala, remember she has to be played on the front row, but then she will also grant a +8, so you apply that onto the Hex Guard as well. Or you can play Jolda on wave 3 as well. Remember, you need Yolda for the double damage. So you play one of them on round 3. On round 4, depending on what card you've drawn, you either want to play a Pandora, which will grant 2 power to the unit on the right at the end of a turn. So again, if you play that on round 4, you're going to get +2 on round 4, +2 on round 5, which gives you, 4 bonus across the 2 rounds. Or if you've not got a Pandora, but you've been lucky and drawn a Lady Scory, then you need to play your other exotic card on round 4 instead. So if you already played Finale, play Jolda, or vice versa. But one of those 2 is, or I guess one of those 3 is your round 5 move. You're either playing Pandora, or you're playing a Finale or a Yolda. And then on your round 5, if you went down the route of playing Pandora, then you'll still have one of your level 3 cards that you need to play. So you play the alternate of Finale or Yolda. And then you also need to play either a Servitor or another Hyssop to get more bonus. If you went down the route where you had a Lady Scory in your deck, then you play her on round 5 because she costs 5 energy. So when we look on the left-hand side, just go through the 3 strategies, you can see this top one, the Hex Guard gives you 5, a Hyssop gives you 3, Finale gives you 8, a Pandora gives you 2 and 2, and then playing another Hyssop on round 5 gets you another 3. All of them added together get you 23, and then when you double that with Yolda, that gets you 46. Now you might be thinking this Hyssop here is not needed, but it is, because if you haven't played it, you only have 20, and then double 20 will only take you to 40, and the Triumph does specifically say over 40, so 40 itself is not enough. So you need to have played that second Hyssop here. Again, if you didn't, I mentioned you could get away with only doing 1 Hyssop, but if you don't have a Hyssop, you need to have played a Servitor at some point. Again, similar thing, you can see this tallies up to the 20, so this is if I've not played a second Hyssop. The 20 gets doubled to 40, and then the Servitor adds a +1 onto it. That is something I found out. The Servitor damage does not get doubled by Jolda. Jolda gets applied first, and then the Servitor just gets added at the end as a +1. So that will just about get you the Triumph. But if you've not played the Servitor, if you got unlucky and you didn't draw either a second Hyssop or a Servitor, then unfortunately you'll fall 1 damage short and just do 40. Or using the third strategy, which again is the one that needs less cards, but you've got to play them in exactly the right order. You again start with a Hex Guard, play a Hyssop, play Finale and then Yolda on waves 3 and 4. It doesn't matter which way round. And then you play the Lady Scory, which gives you 5. And all of those added together will give you 21. And then again, when that gets doubled by Yolda, it takes it to 42. So any of those 3 strategies you could achieve with this deck. It's just a matter of getting lucky and getting the correct cards. So after this, I'm now going to play a demonstration, which is where I get this. It isn't the demonstration where I achieve the Triumph, because I didn't record that, but I recreated it to show it is possible. I ended up going with this third strategy and playing a Lady Scory approach, and I realised I could do that on round 2 because I already started off with 5 of the 6 cards I needed, from my first 5, which was very lucky. And then I drew Lady Scory on at the second round, and I knew then that I'd be able to do it because I had all the cards. As it happens, I got really lucky, and I also turned over a Pandora and a Servitor on rounds 3 and 4. So at round 4, I actually had a decision to make, and I could have gone either approach. I could have done this round 2 or this strategy 2 or strategy 3. It really didn't matter, but that just shows there is a little bit of flexibility. You don't have to get all the cards you need straight away, but it is just luck based of whether you turn them over at the correct time. One thing to note is I made a mistake on the video on the actual attempt and got very lucky because I played my Yolda on the front for some reason, and I could have ended up losing her if the AI Wu Ming decided to attack her. I should have played her on the back. So play all of your cards on the back row if you're doing this dueling Wu Ming, which is what I would recommend. Play all of your cards on the back row with the exception of Finala, because she specifically says she needs to be played on the front. Wu Ming only has 2 cards that can attack you, and they can both only attack the front row. And to be honest, once you've played Finala, it doesn't matter if she gets attacked and destroyed. She's already granted the power bonus. So play everything on the back row, and then you don't lose a card. In the end, I got lucky, and he attacked 2 different cards. But I could have lost it there and lost my Yolda, which I wouldn't have had. You know, I would have had the right amount of damage, but I wouldn't have been able to double it. So yeah, that's something to remember. Don't mess up and play on the front. So yeah, I'll let that example play in a second. I do just want to add that I'm sure there are other ways to do this. For example, a card I don't yet have. I'm sure there's a strategy where you could do this using Tan, because he doubles your next power bonus, and just a Tan and a Finala played together. 2 and 3 energy, play them on round 5, double 8 is 16. Just a Tan and a Finala played together gets you most of the way there. So I'm sure there's a strategy that you could do this using Tan. However, to get Tan, you have to have dueled all of the vendors and beat them on all difficulties, and therefore you need to have got to, I think it's duelist rank 29 to play Saladin, which is obviously very high. I'm not there yet. So this is a way you can do it, before you've even unlocked Tan. You do need to have got to around level 14, because that's when you unlock Hexguard, just from the Wu Ming rank up. And I do think Hexguard is, very important. He's a very easy first card to play and gets you 5 bonus. But yeah, that's enough of the explanation. I will let my example play on, and you will see that I completed it using this third strategy. But I could have actually also done the second strategy. So it was a very lucky hand I drew that by the end of it, I could have done 2 different approaches.